In 1964, Japan built a train that could cross entire countries faster than most nations could build a highway. 62 years later, the United States has spent over $4 billion a year chasing that same dream and has laid 0 miles of true high-speed track. One project alone was promised to Americans for $33 billion. Today it's costed at $126 billion, almost 4 times the number voters signed off on. And after 18 years of construction, there is still not 1 mile of track a bullet train has ever touched. This isn't a story about engineering failure. Engineering was never the problem. This is a story about a system that was never built to finish what it starts. And a country that got ambushed by its own bureaucracy in slow motion. Somewhere between the blueprint and the ballot box, this project died, and nobody wants to admit they killed it. Rewind to 2008. California voters approve a bond. The pitch is simple: San Francisco to Los Angeles, 2 hours, 38 minutes, bullet trains, European style, done by 2020, $33 billion. That's the number on the ballot. That's the number people voted for. By 2026, the number isn't $33 billion anymore. It's $126 billion. A California High-Speed Rail Authority board member said it himself live on national television. Just over $125 billion, he called it, before correcting to $126 billion on the spot. Not one train has run. Not 1 mile is complete. Construction has been happening, mostly in California's Central Valley, on segments most Americans will never ride, connecting cities most Americans couldn't find on a map. And the opening date? It has slipped again to 2033, 25 years after voters said yes. Somewhere in that math is 597 separate change orders, contract amendments, cost creep, buried line items, worth more than $2 billion on their own. Nearly 7% of the entire original budget gone to paperwork before a single passenger boarded anything. This isn't a train that got delayed. This is a promise that got quietly executed. And taxpayers are still paying the funeral costs. Here's the part that should terrify you more than the number itself. California isn't the outlier. California is the best-case scenario. Texas tried a different approach: no public bonds, no taxpayer vote. A private company, Texas Central, pitched a bullet train from Dallas to Houston, funded almost entirely by private investors, promising a 90-minute trip between 2 of America's largest metro areas. No government bureaucracy to blame, no ballot measure to blindside voters, just private capital, private risk, private reward. It collapsed anyway. Land acquisition dragged for years. Financing partners walked. The project has spent over a decade essentially standing still. A right-of-way instead of a railroad. 2 completely different funding models. 2 completely different states. 2 completely different political cultures. Same outcome. 0 track, billions gone. When both the public model and the private model fail the same way, that's not bad luck. That's a system built to eat money and produce nothing. Now let's talk about the train. Americans are told already is high speed. The Acela, Amtrak's flagship. The Northeast Corridor, Boston to Washington. This is the one they put in the commercials. Here's what they don't put in the commercials. The Acela's top speed on paper is around 150 miles per hour. Its average speed, end to end, is closer to 65. Compare that to Japan's Shinkansen, which has run since 1964 at sustained speeds over 150 miles per hour for the entire trip. Not for a few isolated stretches between decades-old curves and shared freight track. China, over the same 60-year window America spent studying the problem, built more than 25,000 miles of dedicated high-speed rail. Not proposed, not funded, built, running today. America built a highway system instead. 48,000 miles of interstate, finished in a fraction of the time it's taken California to lay track through a farm valley. The infrastructure gap isn't a mystery, it's a mirror. And America has been avoiding the reflection for 60 years. So who's the villain here? It's tempting to point at one man, one contractor, one governor. That's too easy. The real trap is structural. Every high-speed rail project in America has to survive 3 separate ambush points that don't exist almost anywhere else in the world. First, land acquisition. Unlike centrally planned systems, American rail has to negotiate. Parcel by parcel, farmer by farmer, lawsuit by lawsuit, through private property law that was never designed to move fast for anyone. Second, environmental review. NEPA reviews alone can take years per segment, with lawsuits capable of freezing entire projects mid-construction, sometimes for the exact communities the rail was supposed to serve. Third, and most brutal, funding fragmentation. Unlike a national program with one budget and one authority, American rail money is split between federal grants, state bonds, and hoped-for private investment that can walk away the moment political winds shift. Every 4 years, a new administration can defund what the last one started. 3 separate systems, 3 separate points of failure. Any one of them can kill a project that took a decade to plan. It's not that America can't build fast trains. It's that America built a legal and political machine specifically capable of stopping them, and called it democracy. Here's the number that should actually keep you up at night. California's Rail Authority now says the funding gap, the money still needed just to finish what's already underway, sits around $90 billion, unaccounted for, unsecured. That means the state is currently more than $100 billion into a project it still cannot guarantee it can complete. Lawmakers are already calling to scrap it entirely. Political candidates are running campaigns built entirely around killing the thing their own state started. And here's the twist nobody says out loud. Even if California finishes this, even if it hits 2033, it will have taken 25 years and over $100 billion to build what other countries finish in under a decade for a fraction of the cost. That's not a cautionary tale anymore. That's the blueprint. Every future project, Texas, the Pacific Northwest, the Midwest corridors, now has to explain to investors and voters why it won't end up exactly here. The next high-speed rail pitch in America doesn't have an engineering problem to solve. It has a graveyard to explain. So next time a politician stands at a podium and promises you a bullet train, remember the math. 33 billion became 126 billion. 12 years became 25. And after everything, after the bonds, the lawsuits, the change orders, the broken ground in towns you've never heard of, there is still no train. America didn't stop building high-speed rail because it couldn't. America built a machine so good at stopping itself it never had to.